Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In this video I'd like to look at a great example of how we use the larger degree trend to help determine which direction we should be trading shorter term charts in. And for this I'd like to have a look at how the DAX, that's the German stock markets, unfolded this morning, which is October the 9th. So let's start with our larger degree charts. So I'll just add a little bit of space to the right of this NinjaTrader chart here, because I'll be using the NinjaTrader add-ons for MTPredictor. And if I go back to before today even started, and we can see we had a pivot high here. So let's start with, and let's put a decision point on from there, and you can see it extends out quite nicely. Let's just put a box around it so it goes out there very nicely. As we scroll forward, you can see that basically the DAX opened there this morning, tagged that high perfectly, and then actually started falling like a stone. It went straight through this potential decision point support here, and we had to have gone all the way back to this last major pivot here. If I put the DP on from here, you can see the DP supports around here. So again, that's on the chart in advance. So as you can see, the market went down, and went right into this decision point support. So this was the area that I was looking at with interest here this morning, is that this was at 15-minute decision point support. It's support because even though the 15-minute chart went through it, it snapped back up again and then closed back within the DP level. So I'm just going to put a quick rectangle around this again to keep this on the chart. So just so we're reminded that this is our 15-minute DP support. So that's our larger degree trends mapped out on our 15-minute chart. So here we caught the very high of the day just after opening. Market declined sharply and has reached this support level. So what was of interest to me is as the market was coming off this support level, remember this area here is our 15-minute DP support. It's slightly confusing because on the 3-minute chart we went below it, but as I outlined in yesterday's training webinar, we always look for support on the actual time frame that we're looking at it. So this is defined as 15-minute support. Notice how the high of the day was nailed perfectly there. So the first question is, what do we do about this TS3 sell setup? Well, even though it's in the direction of our red STF, it would actually be against our 15-minute trend. So even though the setup came down with us slightly, it only reached the DP from our prior wave B low. So there's our prior wave B low. It only reached that decision point level there. And interestingly enough, if we use the minor Elliott waves, you can see that that decline down to that low only unfolded as an ABC. So if you were short of this particular trade setup, knowing that the decline was only an ABC and into DP support, you'd want to be looking to protect your short trades there. But what interested me more than anything else was this TS4 buy setup. The reason being is because it was coming off our 15-minute DP support. So in other words, this buy setup, even though it's against our red STF, was actually in the direction of the larger degree trend. So if I put our analysis on here, you can see that it gives us a potential long trade. Now I'd say that this is a potential holy grail trade. Why? Because we had an initial rally off the low. We then had an initial correction as an ABC. This would be a wave 2. We're then looking for a strong wave 3 type rally. So let's project where the wave 3 is anticipated to go to using our WPT tool. So here we do the first click on the low sequence, the second click on the pivot high here, which is our wave 1, third click on our wave 2 low here, and here you can see it gives us our potential target in advance. That's the important thing, it's on the chart in advance. So now let's adjust our risk reward. So we're no longer looking for a potential profit at this level, we're actually looking for the market to go up to this level here, and suddenly you can see we potentially get a nice almost 8-hour profit. If I scroll forward, the market keeps on going up, keeps on going up, keeps on going up, goes straight through our first target, and then just look at that. If I scroll out to where the market is at the moment, you can see how the DAX rallied, and then just look where it made its high. right at our typical wave 3 WPT that we had projected on the chart there in advance. So of course, knowing the market was anticipated to go to this level and knowing that you're on potentially 7.9 hour profit at that level, you could either decide to come out MIT, market if touched, or perhaps the more common sense thing to do is, just in case it rallied a bit further, you could probably decide to start to trail your stops just below the bar lows. And this is where our trade module comes in, because we have a feature here that if you're in on the trade using our trade module, we've got a trail at the bar lows. So this button here will then trail your stop at the bar lows. Anyway, so here you were trailing at the bar lows, and you'd probably been stopped out, not at that bar. It would probably come up to this bar here, and I think the result would have been, because that was a double bottom there, you'd have been stopped out just there. Oops, not 6. Let's do the risk reward again. Let's do this correctly. It's that bar, there. So it would have been a lovely 7.5 hour profit. Remember, we look at our profits in terms of risk units. In other words, 7.5 R means the profit of just over 2,200 euros was approximately 7.5 times the initial risk of approximately 300 euros. Our position sizing takes care of our number of contracts to keep our initial risk small and under control. So I thought I'd do a video on this because this was an absolutely excellent example of not only a MTPredictor Holy Grail trade setup where we had the initial rally off important support, and that was defined by the 15-minute DP as a wave 1. We then have the ABC correction into a wave 2. We then look for an anticipated wave 3 rally, and that's exactly what we got, where the DAX rallied up to the typical wave 3 WPT, which we had on our chart in advance, and that nailed the high absolutely perfectly. So a good example here of, first of all, setting the larger degree time frame, or the larger degree direction, by using the higher time frame, in this case the 15-minute for our DP. That gave us our trend direction. We then had a beautiful Holy Grail trade set up, and as you can see, the result was an absolutely amazing 7.5 hour profit. And this just shows you the power of the tools in the MTPredictor software program, not only to define the larger degree trend by use of larger degree support and resistance areas, but also the ability to uncover trade setups like this that keep your losses or initial risk small and under control, and have what I think is the best trade in the book, where you're looking to trade off the end of a wave 2 to trade in the direction of the strong wave 3, which is the strongest and longest swing in any completed 5-wave Elliott wave sequence. And this is why these are my favorite trades, because they produce the largest profits with the smallest initial risk. And this is why I designed MTPredictor in the first place nearly 11 years ago, to capture trades just like these ones.